Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this wonderful session. This is session 2 of 5 of the series that we're running called Women in Finance and Entrepreneurship. Welcome, everybody who's joining us online, and welcome, everybody who's joining us in different platforms on social media. We're really excited to share this journey with you. In this August month, we are featuring different women coming from different industry to just come and share their journey with us. The idea is to impact the next generation, is to see what can we learn from those who were before us so we can do things better. Definitely the next generation is going to be awesome because of what we're learning currently. So who are we? We are Bahaka. We are champions of big picture. Bahaka is a Setswana word for champions. We champion big picture. We champion big thinking. We champion solutions as well. We bring solutions to all our clients everywhere. My name is Tumelo Mahusi, and I am your host. I'm the head of internal audit risk and governance at Bahaka Group. I definitely never walk alone, so I'm going to introduce my co-host to you.
Great, thank you, Tumelo. My name is Matlakona Mohapi, and I'm the managing director of Bahaka Group. Thank you and welcome to today's sessions. Today's session, we are talking to the topic breaking barriers, women in business leadership roles. We have the fortune of talking to Innocentia Pule today to take us through the topic and break it down for us. Innocentia Pule is such a remarkable woman. She has done so much work within the industry, and I suppose we can call her a seasoned chartered accountant, as she has a wealth of experience within leading finance functions in business. She's currently now an independent consultant, and she sits on a number of boards that she will be taking us through today. I just want us to be very open and welcoming today, and hopefully get so much insights just about women leading business, just about the impact that we can have. At Bahaka, we pride ourselves as being champions. And one of our core value is impact. Impact for us is leaving things better than we found them. In every situation, in every place where we may have influence, the question is, what can we do better? How can we leave this place better than we found it? So I hope you do take and you have some lessons that you can take today. And I hope you can also just push the message forward as well. Our recording is available on YouTube and will be made available on YouTube post the session as well as there are links on our website for you to revisit this conversation and watch at a later stage. And hope you can share with your networks as well, so that the message can be shared wide and be spread. So thank you so much for joining us today. If you have any questions during the session, please leave a note, a comment, either on LinkedIn, or if you are joining us online on StreamYard, you can leave a comment there, question there, and we hopefully will get to it and read it to give us a response. We had also planned to have Lesego Sinelo join us today. Lesego Sinelo unfortunately was unable to join us due to a medical condition. We wish her a speedy recovery, and hopefully we will see her on this platform soon and get to drink from her well of wisdom. Thank you, everybody. Miss Innocentia Pule, let's welcome her and let her join us today. Hi, welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much, for joining us. I tried to, of course, give a brief introduction as to who you are, but of course, I can never do you justice. So please, maybe just tell people who Innocentia Pule is. That would be great.
Right. Yeah, you live and learn. I'm currently working with a client. So when they recruit, they say, just tell us who you are and not what your career journey has been. So I'll try to tell everyone who Innocentia is. My middle name that I have not used for a long time and I'm enjoying using these days, it's Mule. It's my grandmother's name. So ke setlogolo sa Bakgatla le Batebele. I'm the first daughter of two retired teachers. I'm a sister to three siblings. I'm a chartered accountant. For the longest of time, I called a small village in next to Brits. It's a mining village where my grandfather was also a co-owner of that land, called Rankotia. That's where I grew up. Although when I say I go home these days, I go to Soshanguve. We moved there when I was doing what we call Standard 9 in those days. So I always say Soshanguve is where my parents are and not really where home is. I think I'm still a village girl at heart. So yeah, I think in a nutshell, well, I'm a mother of two. They'll never forgive me if I don't tell. I'm a mother of two, a bubbly teenager who's turning 14 later this year, or a delay, and my son is Wahile, and a wife to one Mr.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Um, thank you for that brief introduction as to who Innocentia is. I guess the next question is it's more of, let's do the what. What does Innocentia do? And also, what has been your inspiration? How did transfer from being a village girl to being a former chief financial officer and independent director and now a consultant?
Yo, that's a long story. Grab your hot chocolate. let's start. So, yeah, as I said, I'm a village girl. Did my primary school in villages. So I started in my home village, Rankotea, and then went to Macau, a Catholic school called Zoho High School. And that's where I got my foundation. For the longest of time, between my father and I, the plan was that I'll be the first doctor in the family, and we had this plan, quite worked out. And then I think when I was doing around standard 7, which is now at grade 5 or
9.
9, I never know whether to count forward or backwards. Yes. Around that time, I was introduced to accounting, and I realized how easily it came to me. So when it was time to do my subject selection for grade 12, matric year, I went to my father and said, remember the plan? Unfortunately, I'm not going that route. I'm going this other route. My father was not happy, obviously, with me because we had this plan for years. But in the end, I persuaded him to understand. And I must say, these days, he tells everybody that cares to listen that his daughter is a chartered accountant. So it wasn't a bad choice after all. And it was, well, at the time, my father, I guess, thought it was out of sheer laziness. Although I passed chemistry and physics, they didn't come as easily as accounting did. And I guess sometimes they do say it will just go with your spirit and what you have to do. So that was my journey from high school. And then I went to Wits to do that, to do my studies, both the undergrad and the postgrad. Joining Wits, I was lucky enough because of my qualifications, my performance in high school. I got a bursary, so I got financial support through my university time, and then through that I also got my articles with Ernst and Young. Um, yeah, so that was the transition. In those days, there was only doing external audits to do the CA route. So that's how my articles went about. It just tells you how long ago I did my qualification. Yeah, so in those days, that's the route that I had to take. Very supportive firm, I must say. And then after that, I was given opportunities to even grow within the firm, South African firm. I did corporate finance for about 2 years before I left for the London office of Ernst& Young to do risk management advisory. Came back to the country, couldn't find anything that really appealed for the in the local Ernst& Young firm. That's when I joined Nedbank in finance. So it was the first time I am in the business and not auditing the business. That was quite an experience, but it was a soft landing because I joined Nedbank as a consolidator of businesses. So there were CFOs in the businesses, and I was just bringing it together for reporting to the group. So that gave me a very good grounding for banking and the insights and the reporting around that. Um, and then I was offered an opportunity to lead one of the businesses, corporate banking, which contributed at least 40% of headline earnings in those days. So it was a big business to look after. A very rewarding experience for about 7 years. And before I went into public service by joining the NEF as a CFO. So I guess the finance bug had hit by then. But I've always had this thing of being independent and doing my own thing, not necessarily purely in finance, but maybe advisory. And that's why in 2018, when I left the NEF, I decided to go independent consulting, more on an advisory basis instead of practicing in the debits and credits. I hope I covered fully your question. It was a long one though.
No, thank you. We could listen to you the whole day. It was so comprehensive. Thank you so much for going into so much detail. Um, can we talk a little bit to clearly, I mean, you work very hard, and you've always found yourself, into some form of leadership role, I mean, it's been a long while. What has inspired you, and what has kept you going over the years?
Um, it's interesting you say I found myself in leadership role for a long time because I guess being the firstborn, it's almost like you are defaulted to be the leader in the family, whether you like it or not. You are being reminded all the time that you have to set an example. And I'd like to think that my parents never really struggled in that department, but yeah, one day you will you will get to have a conversation with them and they might tell you otherwise. But I don't think I've done so shabily. So yeah, what has inspired me? I think, as I said, when you do something that resonates, that you see value in doing, it's easy to continue even when the going gets tough.
Yeah.
I'm generally one person that I drive myself too hard sometimes. I've been told even by coaches that I'm not very kind to myself at times. I mean, one of my friends in recent years said to me, "You're a type A personality." and that hurts, especially coming from a friend. But I think it was coming from a good heart that I just take things sometimes too seriously for my own good. So the drive that I've always had as a person, and the fact that I've landed in a career that has so many opportunities. I mean, from you might have just picked up from the intro. I went from external audit into being in business, into risk advisory, into external audit, in a lot of in a lot of things, because that's what a CA qualification can really open for you. And I've always pushed myself to take the opportunities as they come, and that's what's been driving me, I guess, to date.
Great.
Sure. I'm so happy. Now I'm going to call you Mule for the rest of the session because you gave me that name
I'm
specifically.
happy.
And you know what? I'm Tswana, but I'm still trying to figure out what does Mule mean again. I'm still here stuck. But anyway, we'll get to that later on.
Call me when you figured it out.
I'll call you. But I like just how your career has evolved and the shift. I'm happy that you're speaking to them yourself. I mean, looking at from EY, you went from local to international. So you've been moving around. There's been many shifts up until you get to the NEF and you get to being an independent consultant. So for me, it's just how do we like maybe give us insight into how this career of yours has evolved. And in a sense, because as you're making those moves, were they planned? Did you have a plan in mind that the shifts are gonna be happening and I'm gonna be taking them? So was that part of the plan or is it something that just happened as you went through the process?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question, because until you asked it, I guess I never quite reflected on it intentionally, like I'm going to offer the response. So I'd be lying if I said I had a plan. We had career guidance, but it was just a class that the teacher just didn't. I think we're just black kids that had to figure it out in life. So we figured it out in life. All I knew is that, as I said, initially I wanted to be a medical doctor, and then it evolved to accounting. I mean, two different worlds, but hey, here we are. So my drive at the beginning was to attain the qualification, which I did. And then I recall, after qualification, I started asking myself, so what do you do with this qualification? And the opportunities were so vast that one could have just been lost in the mellow of everything. So if I can call it a plan, maybe the plan in the end became grab every opportunity, learn as much as you can, and at some point something will just resonate, and then you will run with it. And to be honest, that's how my plan panned out in the end. It wasn't intentional that I will end up in pure finance or do corporate finance, or risk management advisory. It was intentional that at some point I'll be independent, but I'll be lying if I say from varsity or from before qualification, I knew that this is where I'll be, or even knew this path that I took to get here. But my intention all the time was, let the opportunity find you ready, with the preparation that you have made. So that's how I landed up here.
I love that. I love the preparation, and I think what you emphasize more as well is that agendas are different, and I think all the time you're thinking the route is the same, but it works differently for you. It works differently for Nolo, for myself. So we're all different, and it's how different we are that makes us special into this world that we're in. So I do love the journey and being prepared. Just as well, maybe can you take us through the critical elements which were fruitful in you reaching where you are at today?
Okay. I think that the elements is what I touched on earlier on, that the drive to learn. I'm like a sponge, and I think that's what helped me even when I started my articles. In my days, I don't know how many people in the audience would relate to this, but in my days, you would find, especially Black people, forever on end in the office, unassigned to clients,
Yeah.
despite the fact that they were there to have the experience. So I think my eagerness, my willingness to always raise a hand to assist in whatever meager
Mm,
I would have thought a task was at hand,
mm,
made people realize that I'm here and I'm here with the right attitude, and they were willing to
mm,
take me
mm,
on board.
mm,
And when I found people that were seemingly looking like supporters, I mean, yeah, I can write a book with the kind of support from males, females, black, white,
mm. Sure.
that I've had along the way. You
Mm,
latch onto that, and you make sure that you get the best out of it. So it's the attitude, is making sure that you are prepared, and even if you are not prepared, you show the aptitude and
mm,
the to learn and to go with whatever opportunity. Um, yeah, I think those are the main traits that, on reflection, I think has stood me in good stead to be where I'm at right now. And it helps. I mean, right now, I meet ladies who say, I never say no to business. Even if I can't do it, I will call an Innocentia who will do it. But
Oh,
we never say to the client, I can't do this thing. So always have this, can do attitude, and grab opportunities. That's been my attitude in building my career.
totally. That's totally amazing. I love that. But I think amongst people, audience who are watching right now, there might be a trainee who wants to get into a position of a senior manager who wants to be a partner, because we're always moving up and above the ranks. Maybe can you speak to how do you transition? I mean, for you it was easy. You were the firstborn. I'm sure it always came naturally. But for most of us who are not firstborns, there might be issues there when it comes to leadership and trying to get to the attitude and the mindset of what do we do to transition from being just ordinary to being leaders? Are we born leaders even?
Right. Maybe I should answer this question by starting with the one of the ladies that really took interest in me when I didn't think a first year article student could even grab the attention of a partner. Her
Mm,
name is Sonia Swanepoel. From the name you can tell, Afrikaner
mm,
woman. She
yes.
used to be a partner, financial services, very serious woman, but
Mm,
fun as well.
mm,
I happened to be on her team, and she took me to the side one day and said to me, Innocentia, I can see the potential in you, but I just want to just guide you. Allow me to
mm.
guide you.
So,
Um, in corporate, you might have cultural limitations that you were taught
mm,
not to look adults in the elders in the eye.
mm,
But the corporate culture is, if I can't look you in the eye, or you are shy to look me in the eye, it means I can't trust you.
mm,
So
mm,
that was the first time in my career that I think somebody literally, actively and proactively came to me and took me under their wing, to show me the ropes.
mm,
And so, in a long-winded way, I'm saying, use use the networks, listen to people, because sometimes we come with our own attitudes.
mm,
Sometimes you want to change the world in a year, in 6 months, and you are resisting the system instead of working with the system so that you can try to influence it from within.
Yeah.
And that's personal leadership, I believe, because then
Mhm.
um, when you get to that position of influence, then you can do your thing in influencing others otherwise. Um, so that's what I've learned about, the process of transitioning. Sometimes the system is too strong for you. Try
Yeah.
to maneuver it the best way you can and look for champions in the process instead of trying to impose your own will onto the system, and just give it a chance and see. It doesn't mean that Black people have always have to be beggars, because we should actually start doing and creating our own spaces. um,
Yeah.
but but this is still our country, and we must influence it from wherever quarters we can. And my advice is that as you transition, as you maneuver specific environments, try to work within the system instead of frustrating yourself by being the sole voice. Once you are trusted, then I think it's easier, and it's also the same as joining a board. And most of the time you join a group of people that you've never met before. um the first meeting, you can't be literally imposing yourself and your way of doing things into you learn the terrain, and you say, okay, so this is environment and whatever, and how do I maneuver in working this. So personal leadership, in getting to those leadership, for me, is what I think we should carry, especially as women.
Sure. That's very insightful. That's very insightful. Thank you. Personal leadership, personal mastery. Always working on leading yourself before trying to lead others and systems. And I'm glad you started talking about boards, because I know you sit on a number of boards as well. Can we talk a little bit into getting into that type of leadership role?
Right. Yeah, boss. Again, when they say, luck is opportunity meeting preparation.
Yes.
But for me was almost like that. So I think the first instance of being on a separate board and not being an executive reporting to a board was when I was still at Nedbank, when I was invited to join the NEF Audit and Risk Committee.
Mhm.
So it's something that at the time I said to my boss, it's something I want to grow into. um there were governance training within the bank that we could go to, and all the support, but you can have all the theory until you are in the room and experiencing some of these things. You really don't know whether what you don't know.
Yeah.
So it was a good opportunity. I must say it was by invitation. And I've found most of the boards is more around somebody who's worked with you, who understands
Yes.
your ethical and work ethic, and the fact that you are not going to come to meetings unprepared, and the kind of person that they need, would refer you, and then you still go through the process of going through the nomination committees and all that. So yes, what I would say is, even if you start with an NGO, equip yourself, attend courses, understand what this governance thing, understand the lineage between the executive and the board, and really know where you come in as a board member. Um, the dynamics nobody can teach you, because every environment really works very differently. But you should be willing to be a team player and come into environments. And as I said, work within those environments and never compromise yourself in the process. So if environments, they feel like, maybe this one was a bad call, it's also okay to just walk away instead of compromising yourself and be in it for the right reason. Yes, there's a big liability and a risk in being on boards. So the fees that you earn um, should be commensurate, but you shouldn't be on boards for the fees,
Yeah.
because that's when you are almost susceptible to selling your soul and losing
Yeah.
that independence,
Mm.
because now this becomes your livelihood. So go for it for the right reasons, but I would really emphasize the value in preparing oneself. You
Okay.
can never prepare yourself for every eventuality, but at least you understand what governance is once you get that opportunity to be around that kind of table. Thanks.
Well, so if I'm summarizing it well, you talked about preparation and just attending courses and learning more on governance and what is expected of you. And I guess that also follows on your point of luck is where preparation meets opportunity. But you also emphasize the power of networks and
Mm,
engaging with people who know what you can bring to the table. So that's quite powerful.
mm,
Um, I mean, it's well known, that in South Africa, let me just talk about our country and the JSE as an example. The number of women that we have on boards, I mean, it's little to non-existent, and we've been trying to push this transformation agenda and have more sort of females on boards, bringing value as well. Now, I want to just talk to just women leading in that space and sort of the value that we bring. From your experience, what have and I guess from the number of boards that you have set in as well, um, what how do you see women represented and how do you see them being able to contribute and them also getting credit for their contributions on boards as well?
mm. Okay. Yeah, no, that's my favorite phase when I don't know what to say. I say "aluta continua." That's literally the struggle continues in that regard. But we should start somewhere. And although I haven't been doing well, I have never really been had a lot of opportunities to be on boards of NGOs. I find that, well, I've been advised that's a very good training ground, a soft landing to
Mm,
just understand the dynamics of working into a board. So I think for as long as we prepare, um, unfortunately the networks are very strong, especially in big boards like listed, because of the regulations. People literally like working with people that they at least know or have an idea about. So those opportunities are few and far between. So even if you go through the process, it's never quite guaranteed. Um, but if you start and building that profile, at some point the opportunity will arise. So the aim is not from the onset go for a listed. So start where you are, whether it's private, is NGOs, um, even school governing bodies. I mean, I started being on the homeowners association where I live, just to get that kind of experience. So yes, we are still very um, thinly represented, but I find where women are represented, it's usually because it's intended that way. It's intentional either for public entities because of the legislation and
Mhm.
what governments literally wants to achieve in putting certain bodies together. They will have that quota of, we want a certain number of women in the boards. For the private sector, yeah, I guess we like being surrounded by people who look like us. And
Ah,
unfortunately, most boards are still very pale and male. But it doesn't mean that even those pale males don't know good black people to bring on board. When the opportunity arises, they do their part.
mm.
Um, it's a pity Lesego couldn't make it, because for me to get on my first listed board, it was because of her assistance. She
Um,
happened to be a chairperson of that listed entity, and 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 recommended that I be invited. Luckily, I don't know, luckily or fortunately, went to the nomination committee, met the CEO, and apparently the recommendation was unanimous that I would fit the culture. And so when you are in the room, be intentional about pulling the others in the room by recommending when the opportunity comes.
oh, yes.
So I find intentionality one of the things that will get us there, because even if you try to legislate it, it won't be impactful in all environments. It's more about the attitude of the company and the people that are already around those tables. Sorry.
Okay.
Awesome. Intention is really everything in terms of how we move forward. I love us being intentional about things that we want to do, where we want to go, because really, once you set the intention, everything follows from intention. So from just an accountability system, right? How do you create better accountability system to ensure the inclusion of women in leadership generally? Here we're looking at whether it be in the public sector, private sector, at board levels, in society generally, from a government point of view. How do we ensure that we have better accountability system?
Yeah, so I think you can legislate to an extent, as I said earlier. It seems to work very fairly effectively in government, because they generally make it policy, and there's a checklist to at least remind yourself, even if you had forgotten to have that dynamic dynamic mix in your board. You will be reminded that you need, a women around the table. But for private sectors, I guess everybody is entitled to invite whomever they
Mhm.
are comfortable with. And it's more about, when some of us make it in there, we must make it count for the rest of the people that are still outside. What do I mean
Yes.
by that? It would be very disheartening that you get an opportunity and you take it for granted. Either you don't recommend other women, or you go to meetings unprepared, you don't add any value to your boards. It's easy for them to turn around and say, we try these people and we don't see what we are paying for,
Mm.
kind of thing, or why we should have them around the table. So I always say, when you have that opportunity, it's always to take it and really run with it, and know that it's not just for you, but it's for the others that look like you. So that's how I would suggest accountability. So it's for us as individuals. Yes, legislation can take us to a certain extent, and that networking, just to put yourself out there and say, hey, I think I've prepared myself. Can I be given an opportunity?
So I think the responsibility on us, especially as females, is higher. Like we have a huge responsibility because what you're trying to do is you don't want to be 1 in 10.
Mm,
As one of the speakers said, you want to make sure that after you, more people get in, and whatever way, let's pull them. Well, whichever way we can pull them, let's have better structures to actually pull them. But one of the key things that always comes is how do we, as women, what do we bring to the table? How do we ensure that we have a transformed business as women? So, what is our value as women? I mean, the idea is not to say just women should be appointed just because they're women, but what is our value in the whole business world? What value do you bring?
mm.
It's a big question.
Yeah. No, it's a nice question, and
Nice
and and I
question.
think and I think I'm talking to the converted because I'm hoping I'm likely speaking to women even in the audience. We know ourselves. We are good at this. We've got this. You know, we are naturals.
Yes.
we we know how to put things together. We know how to run with difficult situations. We know how to um have empathy,
Sure.
and
Yes.
not just be about the bottom line.
Mm,
Um, yes, sometimes you get taken for granted, but hey, it's our nature. You can tune into that. I
sure.
believe that's the nuance that we build we bring. I mean, we go to the same universities, we attended the same classes. So technically, I think we are there, if not more, but let's say we are starting from the same basis, but we've got the nuance of being sensitive to things that don't generally come naturally to our men folk.
Mm,
That could just remind one to be cognizant of the value. I mean, if you look at sometimes how much HR and people issues are given the attention in meetings.
mm,
Um, Yet we turn around and say people are our biggest assets. Usually it's women
mm,
in the room who will remind everybody that these assets, what are we really doing for them? So I
mm,
think
Yes.
our nurturing nature is what gives us that 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 little something that we bring into the room. I
mm,
find because we are, and it's a fact. I mean, most surveys, even recently, that especially Black women are the most disadvantaged, pay wise, opportunity wise, because we know we are starting off. Sorry, no, no. Um, because we know we are starting from almost negative.
mm,
When
Mm-mm.
when you are given that opportunity, as I said earlier on, you really have to maximize it.
yeah.
Be prepared. Do your part.
Mm,
Show interest in the business. I mean, it's not meddling to once in a while ask management, even between meetings. I see 1, 2, 3. How you guys coping? You are not
mm,
meddling in anything executive, but you show the interest in the business,
mm,
and you bring not only the hard stuff about how to make money, but the
mm,
softer side of doing business, as they call it. Although it's
mm,
I think it's the hardest part to be dealing with people.
mm, mm.
Dealing with people. Mm.
Well, thank you. You mentioned something very, very critical about leadership. Simon Sinek, who's one of the globally renowned speakers and business coach, talks to leaders needing to have empathy. And I'm glad you're bringing it up. And I think because, I mean, we naturally carry it as women, so that makes us naturally born leaders. So thank you for bringing that up. Um, and also you mentioned there when you were closing, which is something very critical, caring about people and not just focused on business. And at Bahaka, I mean, we pride ourselves as being champions of big picture thinking. And big picture thinking, or the ideology that was brought about, is thinking beyond profits, thinking of how can we leave things better than we found them, thinking about people, planet, and the environment, which is a theme that has been brought about. You know, we're talking ECG now, sustainability, we're talking environment and you know, living green. Um, and the call has been made out to business and to corporate to do right. So I just want to get your thoughts on how does business do right?
How does business do right?
How does business
Yeah.
do
Again, I'll sound like a broken record. It's about intentionality because, you know, with business, with everything, I mean, even when the BE codes came in, a lot of things that was not really obviously trickling to the bottom line. um, it's how you pitch it to business to make sense to them. Otherwise,
right?
if there's no buy-in, there won't
Yeah,
be anywhere to do right. So how do we do right? You appeal to things that are not everyday kind of talk. You appeal to the concept of legacy, concept of,
yeah,
do we want to leave our children with this world that we are spoiling every day with weathers that don't make sense and
yeah,
earthquakes and, you know, in Gauteng once in a while, um, with the corruption. So it's
mm,
more about reminding people that yes, we are here to live and to extract something for ourselves while we are here, but we've got generations to leave behind,
yeah,
and and what legacy would that look like? What legacy do you want to even leave for your employees children? I mean, the bursary schemes is not just for BE points, it's literally supporting somebody who as yes, as an employee they're getting a salary, but we buy into working in certain businesses because we understand, we at least buy into the vision that has been sold to us, and we want to be part of something bigger. So when people buy into your vision and help you to get to your vision, why wouldn't you do something right by them, by
yeah,
assisting them in whatever small way to support their families, decent salaries, decent support for their capable children to be something better than even their parents could attain in their lifetime. So it's more about bringing those kind of conversations, the humane part, and I guess that's the burden of women around the table, the humane part around the table, and being strategic about how you pitch it for the people around the table to really resonate. Because as I said, if there's no buy-in, unfortunately, a lot is not going to be done.
mm. Sure. Thank you, you know. So how do you specifically see business transforming in the next 5 to 10 years? In terms of changes, challenges, technology, opportunities, legislation, and you're an independent consultant, so I'm sure businesses look up to you, you know, when setting up strategies or when thinking what's next for us. So how do you see things turning around in the next 5 to 10 years?
I think I'm so excited for business in general. If there's one thing that the COVID pandemic at least made us awoke to is um, the need to be very agile in the kind of businesses we run. You can't be too married to the plan that you had 6 months ago, even when you see that it's not coming together. So I think the hardships of that period has really at least shifted the mindset of business people to always have scenario planning, have file B to at least pull when plan A doesn't work out. Um, the and then embracing the Gen Zs into the workplace and this hybrid kind of model. And one always thinking, geez, I'm paying for these offices. Why shouldn't these people come to the office to make this a worthwhile investment? So it's more about agility, really working with what you have, being stubborn about what you know or what at least you think you know in a changing world is not going to help anybody. Technology wise, the world is just literally opened up.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay for a lot of development things that you can attend webinars, get wisdom, get training without, well, all you do is just pay for your data to get into the sessions, and and
Yes.
and, and, and Bob's your cousin. So I think even technology, having even that insight into what your competitors are on about and what works for them and not, it's coming very easy. So nobody really is in their own cocoon to be so isolated to the world that you can't get some insights onto the micro and the macroeconomic um, factors that will affect you. So I see business really evolving in a lot of ways, in that it's a natural conversation to have with a business person about diversification of revenue streams, and not just look into one kind of revenue stream. Um, and I'm encouraged that businesses are generally embracing the concepts. Funding will continue being an issue. eh, and it's, I guess it takes a lot of effort and your pitching style and even the networks to get to the right people and approach the right funders, because I think sometimes businesses frustrate themselves by being all over the show and not really focusing their attention on who can really be a strategic partner. So no, so all around the kind of stuff that you get, how you really embrace the wisdom and the weirdness of Gen Z sometimes
Yeah.
to your benefit, because they question a lot, to
Very
get
true.
that insight into how to best improve. Don't be the know-it-all just because you are the boss. I think business, yeah, there's a lot open for business.
I really, I'm happy you mentioned data because it's such a weird thing that data has become a basic need. Like, I'd rather not have bread and have data at this moment. It's something else. But anyway, like, I'm happy you mentioned Gen Zs and a lot of things there. But what I'm trying to get is, as women, and I think you've already
Mm,
mentioned some of the strategies in terms of how we position ourselves. You've already mentioned us diversifying our revenues, and there's a lot of ways to do it. But let's talk to what other ways are out there for us to actually position ourselves, whatever is coming, be it for IR, whatever is coming, How do we do it as women and position ourselves and make sure that we're ready for whatever changes are coming through?
Yeah, so I guess, yeah, you can be, the information can be overwhelming sometimes. So you need to focus on what you really want for yourself so that you know what to follow. Because as I said, the information is out there. It's just what you choose to consume to improve yourself. Um, I'm a very big proponent of collaboration and just talking, you know, to other women, especially. I
Mm.
find, I don't know, maybe it's because I don't talk to a lot of men generally. Um, I find it easy to pick up a phone and talk to a sister and say, "So I'm struggling with this. How do you navigate around this?"
Mm.
Um, I find collaboration and just clubbing together. I mean, in my business, for instance, I collaborate a lot with women businesses. Um, Either we subcontract one another or we pass business to each other that
Mm.
way. I'm part of a couple of women groupings who are out there positioning themselves to take opportunities of investment opportunities, because we can't be left behind just because we are looking at our small little worlds and the businesses that we are building, which is good, but we shouldn't be left behind. I mean, if green resonates with you, look for those opportunities, leverage the power of coming clubbing with other women, raising the minimum investment, and just participating, and that's part of positioning yourself financially to leave something, a legacy for your children. So I think we've got a lot of strength to do things with each other, for one another, for as long as we've got the right partnerships and intentions, even going into those partnerships. Financially, there are gender bias funds that will fund women-led businesses that we could even look to. Investment-wise, I mean, going offshore, and I think the age of just working alone is long gone. So if you are not collaborating with other people to get to your goal, unfortunately, it will take a long time to get there.
Mm. True.
Sure, I'm so glad you're bringing that, and I think it resonates so much, especially with culturally with us, because moteki moteka batho ba bang, and just the spirit of Ubuntu, I am because we are. Um, I really like that, and also on the point of just coming together as women and raising the minimum investment. Women, actually, Black women have been doing that for the longest time through stokvels, right? In various ways. And it's just about taking those models and expanding on them and adding our new wisdom and elevating them as well. But we have a great base, I believe. We have
True.
great tools and great know-hows in terms of how to come together to collaborate. And I like the fact that you talk about clubbing. You call them clubbing, women clubbing. I hope it will resonate
Yeah,
with the Gen
we
Z.
we resisted the idea of calling it a stock fella, like stock fella ke sa bo mama. It really needs something.
No, I definitely think Gen Z will be like, oh my God, yes, let's club. We're clubbing, ladies. We are clubbing. Oh wow. Uh, so we've already touched. I mean, when you were taking us through your journey, like there's been so many transition points. So what can and now you are an independent consultant, and it seems like you're really into it now. Um, but to just slot it in there. So how do you see your own journey evolving um in the next 5 to 10 years or whenever? Like, is there something that's next for you?
Yo, I I've I've been yeah, it's been 5 years, and every time I pause and really look back, and I'm like, she's I'm still standing even after 5 years.
Yeah.
It's something to be proud of. I've been resisting the urge to go back into the corporate world, so I think this is it for me. I'd like to see this through. I'm enjoying. I was saying to someone recently that I'm enjoying almost feeling like my young self again, going to into different environments, touching those businesses and walking away feeling like I've really added value. So for now, this is it, and I'm enjoying, as I said, the sisterhood that is out there. That
Mm,
that for as long as you nurture your those networks, people know what you are up to and what your
mm,
capabilities are.
mm.
Um, I haven't had to do any marketing really.
Sure.
Most of my assignments have been
It seems like we might have lost, you know.
word of mouth, people kind of thing, or somebody just. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Apologies about that. Yes. Yeah. So I'm saying, where was I? Now I've lost my trail of thought.
Don't like it anymore.
Yes,
So what is
I'm enjoying going into different environments and touching those businesses and knowing that I've added value. And the fact that those that's most of my assignments thus far are literally word of mouth means that I'm doing
mm,
something right out there that people see value
Mm.
in.
mm. Sure. Thank you so much. That's insightful. I want us to come, and I think your role at the NEF might have a lot to do with where we want to get with this question of around funding and having been exposed to that environment. What do you see as barriers from our side, not actually getting funded? What kind of mistakes do we make as women or as businesses in terms of not getting funded? So perhaps just take us through that and let us in terms of what can we do better to ensure that we actually get funding that we do need.
Yes. So can I let you in on a secret? Having been on the other side,
This is the time. This is the time for secrets. We are here for that.
financiers generally like women-led businesses
Mm.
because they will tell you that women are generally very disciplined with their obligations.
Mm,
They they are generally very disciplined in keeping their word. So when they've presented something, they will do their damn best to
mm,
to
mm,
to see through before they come to you with excuses or to go and buy the most expensive car before you pay your workers and see the project through kind of thing. So there's the secret.
mm,
Where I think sometimes we go wrong, and this is almost generally, but now I'm talking to women,
yeah.
Mm.
is sometimes we are not open to advice.
Mm.
So people that have been there have raised the funding, or even like me being on the other side, you know what a financial could look like. Just get them in and say, just guide me. Am I pitching
Mm,
this right?
Mm.
Um, what would a financial look like that I'm not offering to
mm,
at least get me in the room and have the conversation?
mm,
Um, so how we pitch, and then the last one, well, one of the things that I've observed is who you pitch to, and I think I mentioned
mm,
that this earlier on, that you also need to do your homework to not go and pitch a 5 million deal to the IC when their mandate starts from 50 million or something like that.
mm,
Mm.
So you need to actually be willing to do the groundwork to say, with my kind of business, with the kind of mandate or the kind of funding that this financier gets, whether it's a commercial bank or a government financing entity, a DFI, do the groundwork, understand their mandate, understand the kind of people or businesses that they are looking for. Don't take a tech company to an agri financier. They wouldn't know what to do with you. So even that kind of groundwork is required. So seek advice, even if just to bounce ideas of somebody that has walked the path. Get your financial projections. It's nice just to put a spreadsheet that you can talk to. But again, the other secret is financials generally don't quite support a business. They support the jockey. So you as a business person, when they want to engage you, they shouldn't find such big gaps that you don't even know, you don't understand your business model because you are not in it, or you don't even understand how you make money or your finances and what levers you can pull and whatever, because then they lose the confidence that they can trust you with their money to grow it enough to pay them back. And most of the time we are looking for loans, unless even with equity partners, they want to have partners that will grow the cake so that they can share in it. So if they don't have confidence in the driver, the jockey that is driving that business, the likelihood of a no will be quite high.
Wow. Thank you, for so many secrets. I hope our listeners, our SMEs are listening on that one, and will definitely make a note to them, especially the women run and founded businesses, to say, put your case together, put your best foot forward, do your research, consult, because there are financiers that are ready to talk to you because they can trust your word as a woman funded. Here's a weird one, in a room of 100 people, and everybody gets to choose to be something and contributes to this 100 somehow. What is it that chooses to be in a room of 100 people? What does become?
Yeah, no, I'll give it a step. I think in environment, I choose to own my space. I choose to bring me, the best of me, the genuine me, the ethical me, the hardworking me, and then take it from there. So I choose to own my space in that way,
On
by
my
bringing
space.
my own hardcore values, and making sure that if for as long as those are not shaken, then I'm still in the room and I'm still firm on the ground.
Wow. We're taking up space, but your space,
I love it. I love it. I love it. So much wealth that we're getting from you today, from a knowledge point of view. And I think a lot of the audience are resonating with what you're saying. Every time you're saying intentionality, they're like, yes, wow, that's what we want to see, intentionality, because that's how we break barriers, from intentionality. And two words that you keep repeating is intentionality and actually preparedness. You've been going on preparedness forever, and I think that's the idea. We never know where our journey leads us. But the idea is for us to stop and say, am I prepared for whatever comes? Because we want so much, but we don't know, are we ready for that so much that we want? So we are big as well on impact, and I think we do keep saying impact. How do we leave things better than how we found them? Are there any special initiatives that you want us to actually to raise awareness of? in this platform? Maybe something you want to speak to, initiative really speak to impact.
Yes, when I first had this thing, yeah, I don't know, maybe being in the urban areas has made me lose a bit of my villageness, or I don't know, village girlness or whatever. Um, 2, 3 years ago, there was a drive. I can't remember who was championing it at the time because it's quite widespread right now, around providing sanitary pads to girls
Mm,
to give them a chance to not skip school.
yes.
So that was the first, and then the pit latrine
Oh,
issue in some of our rural schools. Those are the two initiatives that whenever I really can give either my time, my resources, my money, I not necessarily under any specific umbrella, I literally pay attention to. The thought that girls might be missing school is something that almost you take for granted, being raised by two teachers that can at least put 2 cents together and get you those essentials. The other day, listening to the radio, a woman called and said, even if you top up the current grants because the grants are already going towards food with this 350 so that we can still buy those kind of essentials for the girls. It really hit me hard. So being a mom of a girl and a woman myself, that's the kind of initiative that I always put my effort behind when I get that kind of an opportunity. With the school latrine is a bigger project. We've been looking with friends to see how to better be involved in that, but that's another one that is literally still here. And I don't think with the slow pace that the government is doing this modifications, we can afford to stand on the side and not do our part in whatever way we can. So yeah, so those are the two that I would urge everybody and anybody to give thought to and support. As I said, I don't promote any specific NGO, but it's more about the cause itself that would resonate.
Sure, I like that so much because on both issues that we're raising awareness on, it's really about restoring human dignity. It's one of those impact stories is that for a minute or for a month, you made someone feel more human and more like themselves. So, that's just so powerful. Thank you, for sharing that, and hopefully it will inspire some of our listeners today, even ourselves, to contribute in one way or the other to those two causes. What is the best advice that you have been given? Someone gave you advice. What is the best advice that someone has ever given you?
Oh, it was tough at the time, but I had to accept that that's the way of the world. And it was during my article years. One of my managers then was a guy from Kenya. And one day I just was wanted to literally download to him about, the injustices and how we are being treated and whatever. And he looked at me and said, Innocentia, who told you the world owes you anything?
Oh,
And I looked at him like, oh, what do you mean? Like, but whoever told you that? Especially for you as a Black girl in South Africa, just
Mm.
know that for you to even be in the room, you have to put at least 5 times more than your counterparts. For as
Yes.
for as long as you understand that concept,
So,
then you're not going to fight the tides. You are going
Mm.
to just work with the system. Hence
Mm.
my thing about, understand what the system is like and then maneuver within instead of being the sole voice and being spewed out, because
Oh,
then there are no winners. So that's
sure.
the best advice.
That is so powerful. That is so powerful, and I think to be the younger generation that are upcoming as well, um, because there's been such a gap, and because they've been afforded more opportunities than we were, there's also a level of comfortability where they expect things to happen for them or things to come to them. So
Mm.
that's such a powerful message. I think, and that will stand the test of time. And that gets me to the next question. What is the best advice that you have given to somebody, anybody, including even your son or daughter?
Yo, you see, when we have to reflect on ourselves, we wonder if the message has landed on the other side or we just spoke. So I let me rather not talk about the best advice I've given to somebody,
Mm,
because
okay.
I think I think let me talk about what I heard somebody say,
Mm.
resonated with me, and I made it my mission to spread that. So
Ah,
it
mm,
it might have been advice to somebody, and yes, some people have said, "Oh, thank you for the inspiration," or whatever. But yes, maybe that could count.
mm,
Um, about a few years ago, I was attending, I think it was a strategy session with a client, and the facilitator played actually the viewers must look it up, a video from YouTube by Serena Williams,
oh,
and
my favorite.
and and the title is "Still I Rise." It's a Maya
Mm,
Angelou poem that,
mm-hmm.
that she talks about her own journey, powerfully. You thought I was going to give it all up. You thought I wasn't worth it and whatever, but still I rose.
Right.
So every time I feel like I don't belong, or I feel like I'm doubting myself, that's
Oh,
my go-to thing that says, "Still I rise." And I always try to share it with as many women as I can, to remind ourselves that, hey, we are here to own our spaces and we will rise. Nobody is guaranteed as a smooth sailing, but we will stand our ground and own our space.
awesome.
oh,
Still I
wow.
rise. Still
Still
I
a
rise.
rise.
I love it because you mentioning two people that Mule, you mentioned two people that Nolo loves. So once you went to Serena Williams and you went by Angelo, I've been getting that from the whole
Preach,
morning.
preach.
You're actually there with her right now, and I'm like, I'm the only one in the room left. Everybody's here.
Uh, thank you so much for also mentioning my faves. I must get used to Mule, but I feel like when I call you Mule, I need to add some respect to it. So I need to say Os Mule. I think that will work better. But I think we wanted to see
Knowing
the next
that
question.
people can pronounce Mule is hard for me.
It's actually such an easy name to pronounce, I think. Well, because I'm Tswana, it's an easy name for me to say. Um, we just had
Yeah,
one
it's been
question.
butchered before, so
That sounds a bit unbelievable. But I think you've already answered this one because somebody was asking, would you go back to audit? But I think you have answered. Basisana is a trainee accountant. And I think she's trying to figure out whether this audit thing is for her. She's like, would you ever go back? But you said you were thinking corporate was calling you back. No. What about audit?
Audit, I think even while studying it, I knew I wasn't this. I used to fight with my lecturers. I was like, no man, as I said, it was a path that I had to take because I wanted to be a CA. Very enriching. I mean, it really teaches you certain qualities about, being inquisitive, not taking things at face value, how literally what makes a business tick. So it really makes you an all round. And what I enjoyed about it is you go into different industries environments, so you don't get a one-sided view of what business is about. But the discipline audit, especially external audit, no, sorry, kindly no.
Well, we will still take it because you do still sit in audit and risk committees, so that is a form of contribution.
That's as far as I can take it these days.
Oh my word! What an insightful session. Thank you so much. Even learning that you were alone, you still gave so much, and I think you even gave probably more than you had to give us today. And also to count it as I mean, and I know personally you've always given me so much of your time as a mentor and as my leader as well. So I just want to thank you for us. Thank you for Bahaga. Thank you for everybody who has joined us today, for just availing yourself and sharing so much of this and bringing yourself, taking your space. So in this space of however many people, thank you that you were able to bring yourself and hopefully everybody online. And I know I definitely learned so much today. And I'm sure Tumela as well.
A lot. I mean, rich already. Still alive. But the more my NGO is what I'm gonna do going forward. So I aligned with you.
Thank you. Lekamo Soraleboha, thank you.
No, thank you, ladies. I think at first, yeah, I went through a couple of emotions. I was excited, and then I saw Lisa. I'm like, okay, I'm going to be a chat, and then suddenly Lisa is not coming. I'm like, okay, I'll be talking too much, but yeah, I hope everybody took whatever they could from the session. Oh no, apologies for that. Oh, I see. Can you hear me?
Yes, we're still here. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Now I'm saying I hope the audience enjoyed. I really enjoyed myself. Yeah, I hope my crazy journey and very unstructured journey of being here has inspired somebody to not stress about not having a plan. It can still be done. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
And
Thank
happy
you.
Women's Day to you for tomorrow.
Yes, we're happy. And to everybody who has joined us today, thank you so much for showing up today. I know the session was definitely insightful. I know you took so much. We're hoping that you will join us again next week, the 16th, which is the Wednesday, where we're talking about resilience, building resilience within the public sector is going to be as insightful as today. It will be giving, it will be vibes, it will be loves, but it will definitely be educational. Thank you. And from me and the Bahaka team, we say Happy Women's Day. Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Thank you.